Chapter 7. An Unknown Species of Whale. This unexpected fall so stunned me that I have no clear recollection of my sensations at the time. I was at first drawn down to a depth of about 20 feet. I am a good swimmer, though without pretending to rival Byron or Edgar Poe, who were masters of the art. And in that plunge I did not lose my presence of mind. 2 vigorous strokes brought me to the surface of the water. My first care was to look for the frigate. Had the crew seen me disappear? Had the Abraham Lincoln veered round? Would the captain put out a boat? Might I hoped to be saved? The darkness was intense. I caught a glimpse of a black mass disappearing in the east, its beaconing lights dying out in the distance. It was the frigate. I was lost. "Help! Help!" I shouted, swimming toward the Abraham Lincoln in desperation. My clothes encumbered me. They seemed glued to my body and paralyzed my movements. I was sinking. I was suffocating. "Help!" This my last cry, my mouth filled with water. I struggled against being drawn down the abyss. Suddenly my clothes were seized by a strong hand, and I felt myself quickly drawn up to the surface of the sea. And I heard, yes, I heard these words pronounced in my ear. If my master would be so good as to lean on my shoulder, master would swim with much greater ease. I seized with one hand my faithful Conseil's arm. "Is it you?" said I. "You?" "Myself," answered Conseil. "And waiting master's orders. That shock threw you as well as me into the sea?" "No, but being in my master's service, I followed him." The worthy fellow thought that was but natural. "And the frigate?" I asked. "The frigate?" replied Conseil, turning on his back. "I think that master had better not count too much on her." "You think so?" "I say that at the time I threw myself into the sea, I heard the men at the wheel say, 'The screw and the rudder are broken.'" "Broken?" "Yes. Broken by the monster's teeth. It is the only injury that Abraham Lincoln has sustained, but it is a bad lookout for us. She no longer answers her helm." "Then we are lost." "Perhaps so," calmly answered Conseil. "However, we have still several hours before us, and one can do a good deal in some hours." Conseil's imperturbable coolness set me up again. I swam more vigorously, but cramped by my clothes, which stuck to me like leaden weight, I felt great difficulty in bearing up. Conseil saw this. "Will master let me make a slit?" said he, and slipping an open knife under my clothes, he ripped them up from top to bottom very rapidly. Then he cleverly slipped them off me while I swam for the both of us. Then I did the same for Conseil, and we continued to swim near to each other. Nevertheless, our situation was no less terrible. Perhaps our disappearance had not been noticed. If it had been, the frigate could not tack, being without its helm. Conseil argued on this supposition, and laid his plans accordingly. This phlegmatic boy was perfectly self-possessed. We then decided that it was our only chance of safety was being picked up by the Abraham Lincoln's boats. We ought to manage so as to wait for them as long as possible. I resolved then to husband our strength, so that both should not be exhausted at the same time, and this is how we managed. While one of us lay on his back quite still, with arms crossed and legs stretched out, the other would swim and push the other on in front. This towing business did not last more than 10 minutes each, and relieving each other thus, we could swim for some hours, perhaps till daybreak. Poor chance, but hope is so firmly rooted in the heart of man. Moreover, there were 2 of us. Indeed, I declare, though it may seem improbable, if I sought to destroy all hope, if I wished to despair, I could not. The collision of the frigate with the cetacean had occurred about 11 o'clock the evening before. I reckoned then we should have 8 hours to swim before sunrise, an operation quite practicable if we relieved each other. The sea, very calm, was in our favor. Sometimes I tried to pierce the intense darkness that was only dispelled by the phosphorescence caused by our movements. I watched the luminous waves that broke over my hand, whose mirror-like surface was spotted with silvery rings. One might have said that we were in the bath of quicksilver. Near 1 o'clock in the morning, I was seized with dreadful fatigue. My limbs stiffened under the strain of violent cramp. Conseil was obliged to keep me up, and our preservation devolved on him alone. I heard the poor boy pant. His breathing became short and hurried. I found that he could not keep up much longer. "Leave me! Leave me!" I said to him. "Leave my master? Never," replied he. "I would drown first." Just then the moon appeared through the fringes of thick cloud that the wind was driving to the east. The surface of the sea glittered with its rays. This kindly light reanimated us. My head got better again. I looked at all the points of the horizon. I saw the frigate. She was 5 miles from us and looked like a dark mass, hardly discernible, but no boats. I would have cried out, but what good would it have been at such a distance? My swollen lips could utter no sounds. Conseil could articulate some words, and I heard him repeat at intervals, "Help! Help!" Our movements were suspended for an instant. We listened. It might only be singing in the ear, but it seemed to me as if a cry answered the cry from Conseil. We'll be back tomorrow with the rest of Chapter 7.